Welcome. This is the Scarlet and Rage podcast. I am Michael, the voice of reason. This is Jay, the voice of rage. And we have some off-season type topics to discuss today. Thank you guys for joining. I see Slip and Skippy, Taylor Thompson already in the chat. Appreciate you guys joining in. Got a few watching now. I know more will be joining shortly. Rage, how is this daylight savings time treating you? I know I certainly don't like it. It's one of my least favorite days of the year, honestly. One of my least favorite nights of the year, I would say, having to lose an hour of sleep.
You know, it's interesting you asked because I was actually working my other job on Saturday night, and I just didn't really think about it. So I got home, did my thing, got ready for the next day, put everything away, and I'm kind of, I kind of have to like set an alarm for 1:30 in case my little newborn hasn't woken up yet. I'll like feed him, but usually that's about the time he wakes up anyway. But then it's like, I'm feeding him and I like close my eyes for a moment and then it says it's 3. And I'm like, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. How did it just jump from like 1:45 to 3:00? Like what's going on here? And then I'm like, oh yeah, daylight savings time, man. Like,
Yep.
and like everybody's tired today. Everyone's like out of sync. And it's amazing how like 1 hour change in just, everything affects everyone, right?
It does. There's studies that it increases car accidents the week after. It increases heart attack and stroke, and yet we can't get them in Washington D.C., Republican or Democrat, to just sign the stupid thing away and say that we're going to stay on one time the whole year. We've switched to daylight savings. As much as I like getting the extra hour in the fall, it does make everything darker and whatever. So let's just stay at this time. Let's not fall back and spring forward and fall back and spring forward because it is brutal.
I agree. I swear a couple years ago it was going to be discontinued, but then here we are. It's still around. How is that like I mean, I don't know. Does it have to go through Congress? Does it have to get passed? I don't even know how this even works.
Yeah, it has to go through Congress, and Congress for some reason acted like they were going to pass it, and then they haven't. Like this should be an easy thing. Like it's like 70-something% of the people might even be higher than that. It's a massive majority of people. It's bipartisan that would just like to stay on one time. But for whatever reason, they won't do it.
Yeah, I don't really understand how that's like a left or right thing. That's like just a common sense thing.
Yeah,
I guess it had something to do with the farmers back in the day, like rising at a certain time, having more time to deal with like their crops and stuff. But like a lot of that is like controlled by machines now. So what are we doing here?
I don't know. It's still something. You've still got some people on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, that won't vote for it. It's not necessarily, I don't think, partisan, like they're voting down party lines. They just can't get agreement to get it passed. But hopefully we will at some point in the future, because I am tired of the springing forward and falling back, especially the springing forward.
Springing forward is terrible, man, especially when it catches you off guard. Like this is I don't know, man. I feel out of it and I shouldn't. And I don't know. Michael, I sent you some pictures today in the afternoon, man. So I was doing, I guess, not really spring cleaning, call it spring organizing of my basement. And I knew I had like a souvenir box of like a whole bunch of things that were near and dear to my heart and just over the years. And I stumbled upon a lot of things. You saw the pictures, right? I mean, again, I only took like the most notable ones, but did you happen to notice what they were exactly?
No, I don't know about exactly. Tell me.
Number one, I'm looking on here. So we have the 2002 Ohio State Michigan game program from that game with autographs from Will Smith, rest in peace, and Ben Hartsock on the front. we have the Ohio State 2006 game ticket, 1 versus 2 game that I sent you a picture of. And then we have the 2002 game ticket that I, also attended. It looks like I was in 6A, row 35, seat 23. And I was at that game too. So I don't know, man, just a stroll down memory lane today. I found a lot of things. I found a lot of game programs, found like the 2003 Washington Huskies program when Ohio State opened against Washington and Cody Pickett and Reggie Williams and that team. What in the hell are we looking at? It looks like you're texting.
Yeah. Well, I'm just showing you
the pictures. I see. Yeah. I see your son.
Yeah.
And I see a faithful listen. I see both of your sons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Your name's on there. There you
I
are,
see that. Jay Buckton. Dude, I have you down as Michael from Buckton.
That's
so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. So okay, so you've got the Michael Doss, the autographed, and then we've got the ticket.
You have to scroll down a little bit. Scroll down.
Let me see here. Let me try to.
Yeah, we got the other ticket.
There we go.
Yeah.
So so these are all just your personal collection, Jay?
Yeah, well, they were my personal collection. I feel like they need to be my personal collection again. Because dude, how many people have gone to events like that? There aren't a whole lot of people that attended the 2002. I understand it was in 100,000 person stadium, but I mean, to still have a ticket from that game, the game that propelled us to the Fiesta Bowl against Miami, the program of that game, autographed by Will Smith, who was a former All-Pro NFL player and Ohio State Hall of Famer. I would like to think that both of those are held in high regards in Ohio State land. And then I would say the 2006 ticket probably has the least amount of value because Ohio State and Michigan got blown out in their bowl games. Yeah, it's not supposed to be funny, man. Yeah, it's a legitimate problem there. But yeah, I mean, I'll still keep it because everyone likes to talk about it. But anytime anyone brings up that game, I continue to say, yeah, that game was overrated. It really wasn't that big in the grand scheme of things. You have to win your bowl games. Slip and Skippy wants to know if Caroline is your daughter.
No, Slip and Skippy, not my daughter. But anyhow,
if she jumps in here, she can comment. But yeah, man, I'm trying to think some other cool things I ran into. I found I'm trying to think if I actually have it right here to my left in this little cupboard over here. I'm trying to think of the stuff that I found, just game programs, game tickets. Do you remember the former Cleveland Browns quarterback and Akron quarterback, and he was up for Charlie Fry? Do you remember that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got his autograph when I went to go see Friday Night Lights, the movie. The entire Akron football team came in.
Really?
Yeah, it was one of the coolest stories. It's I don't know. I went to the movie and all of a sudden the Akron football team came in and one of the players, I think it was coincidentally Charlie Fry's roommate. And I was like, man, is Charlie Fry here? He was like, yeah, man, I'll grab him for you. He grabbed him for me. And I was like, oh man, I'm a big fan. And he signed it for me. And yeah, he was a cool guy. And we watched Friday Night Lights with the Akron football team that day.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Really, what city was this in?
This is Akron. It's in Akron. Okay. Yeah, I was from Akron. Yeah, man. Like LeBron, I'm from Akron.
There we go.
Yeah, man. So, Michael.
Yeah.
We're here today for a reason. And it wasn't to discuss all of this. There is I don't know how to preface this, but
there's still a divide in the fan base. So the Buckeye fan base got very polarized over Ryan Day because there was, I would say after the Michigan game, I would say there was 60% of us, maybe 65%, maybe 70% that had major questions about Ryan Day. Now, within that 70%, there was a group of us that had like been having questions about Ryan Day for like years, kind of before anybody else. And so we were in that group. But by the Michigan game, about 70% had some serious questions about Ryan Day. And there was like this cult following that just wouldn't let go of it. Again, maybe it was even 80%. I mean, after the Michigan game, the group that was still diehard Ryan Day is the man was definitely a minority, a significant minority. And so there's some in that group that are feeling so good that they're attacking everyone that questioned Ryan Day. And here's the bottom line. They were right. I mean, they held on and thought that Ryan Day was the guy and that he would get it done and that he would figure it all out. And he did. So they were right. Good for them. But everybody's happy that they were right. Everybody's happy that Ohio State won a national championship. I don't know why there has to be this continual bickering amongst Buckeye Nation because some people very rightly had every right to question Ryan Day, especially by the Michigan game. And to Ryan Day's credit, he absolutely answered the bell and came through and did what many of us highly questioned whether he could do. Now, here's the thing. I have posts on this same message board littered saying things like, if Ryan Day runs the table. I was not saying he can never run the table. I wasn't saying it's a absolute impossibility that there's zero chance this will happen. I was saying it's not highly probable based upon the things that we've seen so far. But if he does, and that kind of thinking is not good enough. If for the Ryan Day cult, you either had to be diehard Ryan Day all the way, never doubt, never waver, or now you're somehow some kind of a fake Buckeye. This is stupid. This is ridiculous. I'm tired of it.
What we're trying to get at here, if you saw in Michael's phone, I'm saved as Jay under Bucknuts. Michael in my phone is Michael from Bucknuts. Michael and I met on Bucknuts. And what we're getting at here is Bucknut, especially Bucknuts, but the message board world with Ohio State is absolute fucking trash. It is you have to think a certain way or you're banned. This is fucking communist China type shit on the majority of Ohio State message boards. I used to post on Scout back in the day and they banned me there. Now, I think I've been, Michael, I think I've sent you threads on like other message boards. I think my username under all of my main teams, I think I've been banned from the Titans under like 2 or 3 different usernames. I've been banned from the Pistons, which by the way, when I got banned on the Pistons, there was a 5-page thread talking about me getting banned. And then they finally had to lock it, or it was going to keep going. It was going to keep going if they didn't lock it. I've been banned on Bucknuts on probably like 2 or 3 different names. I don't post there anymore. I just found it a waste of time. But like those boards, like not only do they run in like a communist, like you have to think a certain way type, direction. But the thing is that they're a bunch of hypocrites, man. They are all a bunch of hypocrites. Like they say that you can't criticize or you can't think a certain way, but yet some of these moderators are in game threads saying something different or basically saying the things that they say that you're not allowed to say. So it's basically like, do as I say, not as I do. That's exactly what's going on there. I'm about to name some names here and like really tear down these pieces of shit because I just fucking can't stand any of them. And this just needs to be out there. But Michael, man, why don't you delve into more of your message board experience? I feel like you've posted mostly on Bucknuts. I don't know you've posted elsewhere. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on Bucknuts for years, as you, and I have been for many years a very popular poster Do you remember when they had the star rate system? Like you were either based on the upvotes and downvotes that you got. Well, for a long,
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I was a 2-star.
yeah. Oh, you were a 2-star. Okay, yeah. Well, I was a 5-star. That meaning I got way more upvotes than I got downvotes. Then comes Ryan Day, and we did away with the star system. But if we would have kept it, I probably would be down to a 2-star like you. Maybe a 3-star. Who knows? But yeah, people. There was a lot of division around Ryan Day, and there were some of us on the board that were very open about that. And I got maligned. I got personally attacked on a regular basis. I mean, you saw how vicious the personal attacks were. And they tried to tell me that I'm not a Buckeye fan and I'm a Michigan fan because of the things that I'm saying. And part of me being a Michigan fan was the Ryan Day failures of Michigan is I wasn't going to give him an out with this cheating thing. And because I was like, this cheating thing is, that's not why we lost. Then I was a Michigan fan. I've been on this thing for years, been paying for this Ohio State side for decades. Clearly, I'm in all of the celebration threads throughout the years. The 2011 Sugar Bowl, the 2014 National Championship, everything, all of the things to celebrate. I'm in there through the years, but now I'm a Michigan fan. And yeah, and the board got really weird. But I thought when we won the national championship, there might be a little banter back and forth, but then it would kind of clear up and be fine. But now, it's gotten even more weird that we've got moderators on Bucknuts that are, basically trying to ban people who are quote unquote trolls. And we have no idea what that even means. We don't even know what the troll is. And I have generally liked this moderator that, none of the guys at Bucknuts are perfect, but I've generally liked this guy. But he just seems like he's lost it. He's kicking people out. He's telling people that they're trolls for expressing an opinion. And yet the real trolls are the ones that continue to pull up threads of people doubting Ryan Day and causing fights all over the board. Like that's the only thing Bucknuts is good for anymore is to fight on there. There's nothing interesting on there but beyond conflict.
There is a lot to unpack there. And I'm looking at these comments, and a lot of people are right. Slip and Skippy, look at that. Yes, this is an Omni-Man hoodie. Michael, do you know who Omni-Man is?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Don't worry about it. It's really inconsequential, but it's a show that I like a lot. I don't know how to quite get this out, but Dave Biddle on Bucknuts, the thread about the troll thing. So let's just go back in time. He basically said, I know who all of the trolls are. You're going to get, gotten rid of, blah, blah, blah. We've given you a long enough leash, but now we've had it. And again, this, you don't have to be a member. I can go on there and read that thread. It's not meant for VIP. The only thing that's VIP on there is, the only thing that's the VIP on there, I think, is like the recruiting stuff. And I'm going to get to that in a moment. But Dave Biddle, for instance, has a thread about trolls on there, bashing them, this, that, and the other. But this fucking guy, Michael, the Ohio State basketball game thread the other day that they lost, Dave Biddle in there is the harshest critic of the team. He's criticizing players. He's criticizing Diebler. And I'm like, wait a minute. What is the definition of a troll? Because if what, like the insinuation is what he was doing is a troll right there. So he's a hypocrite in my eyes, like being anything critical of anything Ohio State. I don't know what else to say there. Honestly, dude, Dave Biddle is a bitch. If he wants, he can come find me. I'll bitch slap his ass back to Bucknuts. He's a bitch. Same with Dan Rubin. Dan Rubin is a piece of shit. Why people tune into him in the mornings on Bucknuts Morning 5 is beyond me. He does not know what he's talking about anything. He's a stupid little bitch up there in Dayton. fuck, Dave, fuck, like you should go kick his ass, Michael, because I know you've had problems with him. He's gone after you and banned you. To be honest,
Ruben's the only one that's ever banned me on Bucknuts, and I got banned for saying Michigan is not going to get in a lot of trouble, and Ryan Day should have figured out that they were stealing the signs if they were stealing the signs. That's why that Biddle banned me, a paid subscriber, for a month.
they don't care how much you pay, man. They don't care. They don't care how much you pay. You're going to get banned regardless. So the only time I ever sign up for Bucknuts is when they have their 75% off. And I don't really use it for Bucknuts. I really use it to just grant access to myself to other message boards and to read and along the 247 message boards. But the fact of the matter is, I believe the best recruiting insiders have gone to other places now. I can tell you for an absolute fact, man, Bucknuts actually became a better place when that dude Dwayne Long died, because when he died, they didn't have somebody at the at the front, like basically like what is it? They didn't have, I think he was basically like their patrolman of the message boards or something. Basically, he handled all like the miscellaneous stuff and the people supposedly getting out of line. And then he died, and the place actually became a decent place to post again. But it seems like Dave Biddle's taken more of a role there and getting rid of people and stuff like that. Yeah, man, that place sucks. And Bill Karelic is one of the biggest narcissists there are. Don't you dare ever criticize like his recruiting info, because I remember before, like, he would post information, so then I would cross-reference like other recruiting analysts, and I'm like, no, that's not what's going on, Bill. And I would post it, and then he like private messaged me like I shouldn't post that stuff and hijack his thread. I'm like, I'm not hijacking your thread, you little bitch. This is fucking information coming from elsewhere, so it's on you to dispel that information. It's not my fault. This is what I found. Fucking deal with it, you faggot. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, Michael? Like, this is the kind of pompous pieces of shit that are running these boards. Why people are on those boards is beyond me, but there really has to be a plan to just annihilate all of those. And I have an idea. I do have an idea, Michael, which I'm going to announce here when we're done talking about this subject. But the place is a giant cesspool run by a bunch of fucking bitches. Dan Rubin, Dave Biddle. I think Steve Hellwagon's actually okay. I'm not going to include him in this. Dwayne Long was a piece of shit, but now he's dead. Who else? Dan Rubin, Dave Biddle, Bill Karelic. They all suck, man. Every single one of them.
Let me talk about this. Chat, how acceptable is it to criticize Buckeyes on fan boards? What is the appropriate level of criticism? What is too far? There's all this talk on the boards. Kirk Herbstreit gets everybody worked up, saying Buckeye fans are driving recruits away by their behavior on message boards and their behavior on Twitter and this, that, and the other, and recruits are reading this. What is your opinion in the chat? Put it in the chat and we'll read it, about how you should criticize players, or what's off limits, what's on limits. What should we be allowed as Ohio State fans to get on publicly on a message board and say, and what's crossing the line? Obviously, a lot of people crossed the line rage when they threatened, when they were sending death threats to Ryan Day, when they were dredging up memories of his father who committed suicide. All of that obviously is past the line. But, where is that line? What are you guys' opinions? I want to hear it. Slip and Skippy said he really likes Zach Smith and Kirk Barton. Yeah, I mean, I like both of those guys. They both have different angles and different takes. I think Zach Smith is a little more real with it than Kirk. I think Kirk knows that he is kind of, doing a lot of happy talk. And, here's the thing, a clock is right. A broken clock is right 2 times a day. Kirk's whole, thing is the Buckeyes are the greatest. The Buckeyes are the greatest. The Buckeyes are going to win the national championship. He's that way every year. That's great. That's his thing. And that's what he does. And so, like, as long as you know that, good. Zach, I think, is a little more real about it. When there's problems, he will say, yeah, there's problems. And so when you're willing to say there's problems, sometimes you might end up wrong as well, because those problems might get fixed. It doesn't mean that the problems weren't there to begin with. And so Zach Smith is a lot more bold in his takes than Kurt is. He goes out on a limb a lot more. And because he goes out on a limb a lot more, he's going to take some more heat from it. Whereas Kurt is pretty much just, the Buckeyes are the greatest. Everything's great in Buckeye land. He criticized Ryan Day quite a bit through the years, but then he would also come back and be like, everything's great and we're going to get it together. We're going to win the national championship. And this year it happened and we did, and awesome. Thank God we did. But they're two totally different kind of angles at approaching Ohio State football, Menace to Sports and Kurt Barton.
I have not listened to Menace to Sports since the season's been over. Like, Zach Smith's show is fine during the year. But like outside of that, again, his show is a football show only, which basically makes it interesting. Like, what, 5 months out of the year? I mean, he's really like killing himself not talking about other sports. So, or really other subjects for that matter. So he really limits himself there. I don't question the guy's intelligence. He knows football better than I do. That's for sure. I mean, he coached it, he played. I'm not going to take that away from him. But again, his show, it limits itself to just college football. He doesn't really have any grasp of college basketball, college baseball, like college sports. Like, that's just, it's just him. It's not a personal thing. Buckeye Scoop is just fucking boring. I don't know what's going on with Nevada Buck. Supposedly he's stolen people's money on their message board. And, yeah, I don't really know. I think Kirk Barton's, I know he's a really smart guy, but the thing is he works with Nevada Buck, so he kind of limits himself there. And my God, Michael, they've been talking about that Michigan scandal for literally like 2 years and nothing has happened. Like, nothing has happened. They've sold their soul to that. They better pray that something happens, because if nothing happens, like they've lost everyone.
Let's get to this super chat, and then we'll get back to that. Bad Gateway, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. You guys are great, refreshing, and honest, from a Wolverine who appreciates intelligent commentary about the Big Ten. Thank you, Bad Gateway.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate the super chat and appreciate your support watching the show. Yeah, you're right about that. They absolutely have gone all in on the Michigan is going to collapse with NCAA sanctions. I haven't bought it from the beginning. Maybe I'm still going to be wrong. We'll see. But I haven't bought it from the beginning. I don't buy it now. I think that this is my opinion. I think Nevada Buck is feeding that to the Ohio State fan base to get them excited, because that's what the Ohio State fan base wants. And I think that it's just kind of like pie in the sky type of stuff. He is right about some of his inside sources. I just don't think he's right about this one.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't care about the Michigan show, man. Again, we've said it on this, the Michigan allegations. The fact of the matter is, it's not, even if they were doing it, it's not so much of a big advantage. I mean, everyone on planet Earth is trying to find and steal signals. I mean, whoop-de-doo. At the end of the day, Ohio State needed to block Michigan and not get blocked better. I mean, that's it. Yep. I was like, what the hell? There's a fucking dog outside barking. Hopefully my window's closed over here. Anywho, moving on. So Michael, I've told you about this person. So we have a guy on this message board. It's called Yappy Sports. It's more of a Ohio high school sports forum, but it has college football, not nearly as much, in college basketball and stuff. We have a guy on there who hates on our show and hates on me specifically, personally, not you as much, but me specifically, hates on our show, hates on me, hates on the way I look, hates on the way I act, hates on the way I present on this show, whatever. But this person has openly spoken about things he would only know pertaining to our show by watching our show, because I've heard him quote things and stuff on that message board that are you would not find on our show unless it was 30, 40 minutes in. So that just shows me we have the big, I love our fucking haters, man. I love our fucking, man, look, I tell you what, People want me to rage right now. Should I rage, Michael?
Go ahead. Go.
This is going to be a rage. And it's going to be followed up by a question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, you stupid motherfuckers. Like, you are a bunch of fucking stupid pussies. None of you would ever fucking say this to me in person, to be critical of me, be critical of the way I look, be critical of the way I act. Like, I will bitch slap the shit out of every single fucking one of you. Each one of you've known it. Michael, I promise you when I tell you this motherfucker has tried to gaslight me, saying he was going to like punch me in the face. I'm like, all right, motherfucker, let's fucking do it. And I tried to say, like, let's fucking meet up. I'll tell you the next time in Ohio. But what does he do? He backs the fuck down like a little bitch. And then he's trying to criticize me. And he's been on this fucking show, by the way, putting it in the fucking comments saying that I threaten people that I'm going to kick their ass. No, motherfucker, you're the one who came at me first. And I ended it because you are too much of a cowardly bitch to ever meet up in person and fucking settle this, because you're a faggot and a bitch and a coward. Fuck you. I'm right here. Where the fuck are you at, bitch? Michael, my question to you is, would any of these motherfuckers say this to you in person? Seriously, do you, like, you've seen the stuff. Like, you could give an opinion about Ohio State that could be looked at as critical, and they just say you're an idiot. They don't say why. They don't try and like say like you're wrong. They just say, oh, you're a fucking idiot, or the team would suck with your opinions, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. Do you think they would personally attack you in person for like saying the things you do on a message board? Honestly.
No, I don't. You know, and you know, you've seen recent pictures I sent you. If you, I've sent you some recent pictures of me training, so you know, like I'm a pretty big guy, and I've had people on there tell me that I'm a skinny homosexual, you know, queer, you know, all kinds of things. I mean, all kinds of things that they would never, you know, say, like if we're standing there, you know, next to each other. And yeah, it's a toxic culture. And, you know, if you want to clean up the message boards and make it a better place for Buckeye fans, like if you're going to regulate something, regulate that we don't personally viciously attack each other. Like, we should be able to argue Ohio State football as much as we want. Like, that's all you got to say is no personal attacks. Personal attacks against players, personal attacks against coaches, personal attacks against other board members. We're not going to tolerate that because we just don't want that kind of atmosphere. But they don't do that. You know, they monitor all this other stuff that, frankly, a lot of it's interesting conversation.
Well, it becomes interesting conversation when but then the conversation becomes one-sided because the people that are critical towards Ohio State get banned and these little bitches prosper on. So it's like, it's one-sided, and people think like the people that got banned were like got cowardly or disappeared. Well, that's not the case. They just got removed from the website and, you know, they had no control over it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just, you know, I'm looking at, you know, Yappy Sports right now, man. They're talking about like, they have a thread on why you're banned, and they have a list of things why you're banned. Most of these things are just complete and total bullshit. I don't know, man. Again, these problems don't only exist on Bucknuts and Yappy Sports. They exist everywhere. I mean, again, I've said before, I've been banned on the Titans board. I remember, I think the last time I got banned on the Titans board, it was like during the 2022 playoffs, the Titans and the Bengals. And I just kept posting in the game thread, like, well, we're not going to win. We're not going to win. We're not going to win, more or less. And I'm like, oh, well, that was a nice play, but it doesn't matter because we're going to lose type stuff. And they banned me for it, just for saying stuff like that.
What game was this?
That was the game when we sacked your Joe Burrow 9 times and still lost. That was like, that game like literally took a part of my soul. And I'm like, you know, I'm just not as much interested in the NFL anymore because, number one, because the Titans suck so bad. And it seems like even when they had good teams, they would fail. But it's just like, you know, it kind of emulated exactly what the problem in the NFL is. Like, every team is similarly talented. And because of that, I just didn't find as much of an interest in it, and it was like kind of like that. I don't know, man. I don't know. But what I'm getting, so Michael, there needs to be some kind of solution to all of this. I have an idea.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think we should create our own message board.
The
Scarlet and Rage message boards. Ohio State, Ohio sports, professional sports, whatever we want it to be. But I feel like I'll fucking pay for it. Whatever it costs, I'll figure out a way to start it up. Again, this is a few months down the line. I know we say a lot of things like once we hit 1,000 subscribers and this, that, and the other, but I feel like the only way, it's like Elon Musk buying fucking Twitter. It's like, I want to buy my own fucking message board. I was thinking about buying Bucknuts, but I don't know like how much that costs. Yappy, like places like buying them, but maybe we should just create our own and then advertise it. I don't know.
Well, Jay, I don't know. Where there's a market, if there's a market, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. That's an interesting thought. What you got any expertise to get something like that up and going, the infrastructure for it?
Well, I work in IT sales. I think I could figure it out.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
I mean, again, if I can't figure it out, I'll find somebody who can figure it out and I'll pay them to do it for me.
There's a need for it because Bucknuts has become it's become a very boring place. And I love Bucknuts. I'm not trying to talk bad about it. I've been on it for over a decade, closer to a decade and a half than a decade. And it's just become a very boring place. It's out of touch. It's not, the articles are not interesting. The only thing that was interesting was like the debate among fans. And even that is kind of like, like you said, that has a kind of like a diminishing return at some point because it just becomes, a big mess. So yeah, I would love for there to be a message board where, there could be interesting takes that were embraced as opposed to, a kind of a groupthink, follow the groupthink, or you're going to get labeled a quote unquote troll. It seems like that's the direction it's headed.
We've been there for years, man.
Yeah.
It's not where we're headed. We've been there. It's like if I'm looking at the message board right now, like people on there that are like literally right down the line that are calling for Jake Diebler to be like fired. They're like, oh, you're such a troll and I've been against the team forever. And I know this guy has not. He's gotten on me for being too negative, but he's like, listen, man, I have been on the other side of the aisle a lot of the year, but I can't deal with this. And like, it's ridiculous, man. Again, I don't know if these are people are like fucking like inside people or they're like black hats inserted from Bucknuts to basically stir the pot and cause controversy or adversaries inside of the message. I mean, I don't know, man. It could be a number of things, but hell, they could be. I mean, I don't think they're bots. I'm not saying that, but I think they could be. Somebody like similar to like George Soros paying people like to go freaking riot and stuff in cities. I don't know. Yeah, man. Just I would say the only way is to create our own message board, man. That's the only way. And basically, hopefully, we can advertise it on like places like Yappy Sports, Bucknuts, and all places like that, and pull people. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to add.
Let's look into it. We'll see. We got to get this show over 1,000 subscribers, Jay. Help us get over 1,000 subs, guys. If you haven't subscribed, I know that hundreds of you, literally hundreds of you every week watch this show at some point, not necessarily live, maybe after the fact. Watch it at some point and don't subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Help us get to those 1,000 subscribers so that we can get monetized with YouTube.
Well, I think, again, like I said, I think a lot of people hate watch us.
Well, that could be true.
Yeah, I think a lot of people hate watch us. They're not going to subscribe, but they still watch just because they hate us. Because we're a bunch of free thinkers and they don't like the free thinkers. Michael, the Ohio State coaches met with the media a few days ago to talk about like the coaching acquisitions and this, that, and the other. I didn't find it too interesting. Did you happen to listen to Ryan Day or Matt Patricia or Tyler Bowen talk?
I went back after I talked to you and I caught just little snippets here or there, but nothing that's was overly, not really that much worth discussing, to be honest with you. Not really any big juicy news. I mean, you tell me what your take was after watching that.
My
I know
biggest
you.
take. Go ahead.
Well, I think in those press conferences we can kind of assume most of the time we're not going to get too much. I mean, that kind of seems the way it is with a lot of coaches, and especially during the Ryan Day era. It's been very kind of coach speak type of thing, and so I don't have a whole lot of expectation with him, is what I'm saying.
Ooh, that's a little scary, Michael.
I meant I don't have a lot of expectation to like get a whole lot of insight out of these press conferences. That's what I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, Matt Patricia, I mean, he could be good, but he doesn't seem like anything, like super great, like in his interviews. I mean, that's really the only one I paid close attention to. And, at the end of the day, I don't think he was Ryan Day's first choice. I think somebody like DJ Durkin was his first choice. I mean, Auburn insiders were even saying that, like, Ohio State tried to pry him away and Auburn upped this money. So I don't know. You just got to hope it works out, man. I don't know what kind of defense he's going to run. I feel like, towards, like, I would say in the middle of spring ball, we'll do like a little show about what we hear all about Ohio State's roster and stuff. But I can tell you, off the top of my head, man, I don't like the defensive line depth, and I do not like the running back depth. I do not like, again, quarterback as a complete unknown. And
And one thing we know, Jay, is
I would say cornerback depth is not great.
We very well might not know a whole lot about a quarterback even after the spring. I mean, you know how these spring games are. I mean, it's really hard to tell how a guy's going to do. SW Lyon is not a fan of Matt Patricia, and I understand why. Detroit Lions. Put it this way, if Ohio State wins with Matt Patricia, that says a lot for Ohio State. So he is very down on the Matt Patricia hire, as are most Lions fans, not fans of Matt Patricia. I get it. I'm remaining cautiously optimistic about the hire. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, we may not know about the quarterback even after the spring, Jay. I mean, the spring game, historically, C.J. Stroud didn't look good in the spring. Justin Fields didn't really look good in the spring. Kyle McCord looked terrible in the spring. So who knows? The spring's kind of a toss-up. I don't think it'll tell us a whole lot. We won't really have any answers to that probably until into the season, Jay. That's the thing with this Buckeye team. There's a lot of questions that won't be answered. There's a lot of questions.
Yeah. I will say, strangely enough, the position group that I feel best about is offensive line. I think offensive line is going to be better next year than this year, strangely enough.
I agree.
Nick wants to know if Ryan Day is still a weak Northeastern liberal. In my opinion, I think he transitioned over to conservative after the Michigan game. Again, I've said it, Michael, like Ryan Day listened to our show and he changed. Yeah. Once he listened to our show, everything was right in the world. All you have to do, Ryan Day, is listen to what I tell you to do and you'll win. That's it. Listen to what me and Michael have to say and you'll win. If you don't listen to us, you will lose. That's it. Michael, I know you probably didn't watch, but Ohio State played Indiana in basketball yesterday.
I didn't watch.
Yeah, I watched. And I just want to make it very clear. If there was any uncertainty, I posted this on our thread. And man, I went out to eat tonight. And I think, like, when I'm done with this show, I'm going to have to go throw up.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel it coming, but I'm going to hold on for everyone. I'm not going to throw up on air.
Okay.
But I think that I posted this on our board, but I I've been cheering against Ohio State basketball for like the last 2 weeks, openly cheering against them. I want them to lose every fucking game. I want them to lose every fucking game until Jake Diebler is fired. And I'm going to put an and next to that. And they actually hire somebody with past success that I have total belief and faith in. Like, it's a hire that it's like, wow, okay, that's Urban Meyer 2012 type hire, because that's what it's going to take to turn this program around. This program hasn't done jack shit in the NCAA tournament since 2012. That was the last time they made it to the second weekend. And that's really the expectations here, not making the tournament. So, yeah, they lost to Indiana yesterday. So that means they still made. So, Michael, if you weren't aware, with the insertion of Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC, not every Big Ten team makes the Big Ten tournament. I believe at least 2 teams are left out, but don't quote me on it. Ohio State was able to still make the Big Ten tournament. They did not reserve a bye or a double bye or anything along those lines. They will play the Iowa Hawkeyes this Wednesday at 6 o'clock on Peacock, our favorite channel, Peacock. And let it be known, I am openly cheering for Iowa. Iowa Hawkeyes, baby. Iowa. Iowa, the greatest album of all time by Slipknot. Iowa. I'm cheering for you. Please end Diebler. End Ohio State basketball. I am sick of them. I want them to burn to the ground. Fuck them. Michael, anything to add?
No. I not being a huge Ohio State basketball fan, I'm going to have to if I'm going to be interested in Ohio State basketball, they have to be much better than they are now. And I'd like to be interested in Ohio State basketball again, but basketball in general, I have to have a reason to tune in. I'd like to have a reason to tune in. Because I would like to have a reason to tune in, I want Jake Diebler to get fired, because I don't know anything but from the results, but the results are what they are. They're not good. And the little bit I've watched this team, it's so obvious they're not well disciplined or well coached. And if that's the case now, how, is Diebler just going to figure it out all of a sudden? Good grief. I mean, this isn't Ryan Day, where he's a first-time coach and has had success. I get that Ryan Day inherited a very successful program as it was, but this is a program, assistant under a failed coach. And now the current results are failed. That's what they are. They're failed.
3 points I want to make. Michael, you were like the biggest critic of the Ryan Day hiring, just because he was an unknown. He was a guy with no experience heading a program that was a blue blood, taking over for a past, great head coach and this, that, and the other. Well, Jake Diebler was a worse scenario than that. Jake Diebler was an assistant from a coaching staff from where the head coach had gotten fired. He was like coaching for the team a couple of years already under Chris Holtmann. And basically, Chris Holtmann was so bad, they basically just promoted Jake Diebler because the team played a little bit better under his watch when he took over. And that was just despicable, man. I don't know what else to say. It's just like, it's just like that's where you go on a nationwide coaching search and get the best guy available, a guy from outside of the program, clean slate, not somebody from a past regime that was a total failure. Like that was such blasphemy, man. I'm going to address a couple of Southwest Lions points. So, he's saying that they have some bad people in the Michigan fan base. Yeah, I would say so, but I will say this, Michael, I think you can attest to this too, but I really believe that in the Michigan message boards are more civil and they have more free thinkers on their message board, especially on 247, especially more than Bucknuts. Like I would pick Michigan's message board and the way it's run 100 times over Bucknuts. It is not even close. I don't disagree that you have some crazy people and stuff, but I believe there's more free thought allowed. Like everything that Bucknuts accuses Michigan of being, they are. Michigan basketball crash and burn in the end of the year. Yeah. A lot of Ohio State fans wanted Dusty May. I did not. I don't think Dusty May is any good. He had 1 year. He made the Final Four. It was kind of not fluky, but outside of that, he didn't really do jack shit. He doesn't look like a very good coach at Michigan. I don't think he's not going to be the next John Beeline. So if you're expecting that, don't. It's going to be it's going to be rough going for you. And the last question you asked is, what are the expectations of Ohio State? Well, the expectations are you need to be operating as a top 15 to 20, and that's at the absolute bottom 20 program in the country every year. So that basically means most years you should be making the Sweet 16, and then every so often you should be making the Final Four. So basically the way Ohio State operated between 2006 and 2012 or 2013 under Thad Matta, that's the expectation.
Yeah, I agree. And we need to get back to that.
It can be done. It can be done. Don't let me. I mean, again, it's happened before. It can happen again. Ohio State has the most Final Four appearances of all teams in the Big Ten all time. We have 11. I think Michigan State has 9 or 10. So, yeah, we've lost. We've only have one national championship. I understand that. We are not a blue blood. I also understand that. But at the same time, the expectation should be a lot higher. I was literally in an argument with somebody else on the message board today. He was like, oh, I wonder if Ohio State makes the tournament this year. All these people say are cheering against Ohio State. I wonder if they'll disappear and blah, blah, blah. Fuck you, dude. I didn't realize that Ohio State just making the tournament were the expectations here. Like, God, you are such a fucking stupid loser. Like, you are a stupid, disgraceful piece of shit, worthless fan. Those are the worst fans, Michael, that just accept any kind of success and just explode it out of the water like Ohio State just won a title. Like, they are so misinformed. And it's people like them that allow people like Jake Diebler to survive, that allow the Ohio State baseball program to still be around, which we haven't talked about them yet. They suck balls. That program has been destroyed since like the last 10 years. They shouldn't even have a program.
Yeah, making the best 64 teams in the country isn't a high standard, that's for sure. Making the tournament is a given at Ohio State. That's a given expectation. That's not like, oh, that's going to keep you getting the job if you sneak in and make the tournament now and then. SW Line said Michigan exceeded expectations, but they were lucky, kind of like the Minnesota Vikings of college basketball. They had a lot of close ones, and they could have went either way. So, Jay, you watch Michigan basketball at all?
Yeah, I do. I just addressed it. I mean, again, they suck. Michigan basketball sucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. You just went on.
Yeah, I said that when Ohio State Michigan played a couple weeks ago, and Michigan fans were like all happy that they beat Ohio State on the road. I'm like, God dang! I literally said that. This was before. Again, I didn't say it on here. But at the time, I'm like, my God, Michigan basketball has completely fallen off. They're like, oh, well, they have such a good record and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, who have they fucking beaten? I mean, you're telling me a team that lost on a neutral site to Oklahoma is a good team? You're telling me that a team that lost on a neutral court to Arkansas is a good team? Like, I knew for a while that Michigan sucked. The only reason that Michigan, it looks better is because the Big Ten sucks so fucking bad. Michigan State is our conference's only hope. And even then, I don't think they make it past the Elite Eight, Michael. I don't think Michigan State does. I think the absolute maximum they make it is to the Elite Eight.
Well, that'd be a good appearance. That'd be a good
it wouldn't be good for our conference. The Big Ten hasn't won a national championship since the year 2000, Michael. It has literally been 25 fucking years since our conference won a national championship in basketball.
Yeah, Slip and Skippy's right. The SEC is probably their year. They have really risen in basketball, and the Big Ten has really fallen.
Yeah, no, it really is. You just have to invest, man. You have to invest, and I mean, you have to cut those other sports that don't give you anything, man. I mean, even Texas, the powerful athletic program that is Texas, I don't think they operate any more than 22 sports. Ohio State has 36.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we know what the answer is. So I don't have anything else, Michael. I'm kind of in a piss off mode.
I don't either. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Next week, everyone. There's a
Listen,
lot of college
Skippy,
basketball coming in right now.
if UConn has got a chance, I'm a UConn fan this tournament. Anybody to keep the SEC out.
Well, the UConn won the last 2 years.
I know, but
Yeah,
are they
they
good
won the
this year?
last 2 years, but they're not nearly as good as those last 2 years team. They basically lost everyone. And Dan Hurley, in my opinion, is the best coach in the country, but they don't have the size or length that they have had in previous years. And I don't know. So next week, the bracket gets announced on Sunday, Michael. Selection Sunday is a week away. So I feel like that's going to be college basketball centric. We'll talk probably Big Ten basketball, Ohio State basketball, and how they ended their year, and brief, NCAA tournament stuff if you want to do some basketball.
Let's do it. All right, man. Well, let's hop off here.
All right, everybody.
Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you tuning in to this off season. We're going to have some more content coming our way. We're kind of feeling our way through it. If you guys have some ideas of things you want us to cover, drop it in the community notes and we'll take a look at it.
I feel like we should drop our email or something, like our web page's email that somebody can email us stuff to.
Yeah,
that might be a good idea. Again, maybe not on this, but maybe on our YouTube page. Be like, email this for ideas for off-season talk. Again, we still have college basketball to talk about, but we're talking about late April, May, June, July, beginning of August.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna put the email in the chat before we get off here. If you guys have anything you want to discuss or talk about, feel free to email us. Yes, Scarlet is spelled incorrectly. It was spelled that way for a reason, because that's the only way I could get the name from Gmail. So it's not a typo. It is spelled incorrectly. But Scarlet Rage 2023 at gmail.com. If you got ideas for off-season content, got things you want to talk about, let us know. All right. We're out, guys. Appreciate it. See you next time.